Alright, take two. My mother interrupted me in my previous recording, so this is my second time trying to record this. Should be fine. Well, I know I didn't do one for Carnelian Banner, but that's because I really don't know what to talk about it. I've really have not played much with all three types of the operators. And for model caster, even though I have gotten beeswax, I have not built up at all. She's still E0 level 1. And it means I'm only starting to use her. So to be honest, I really don't know much to talk about for Carnelian. Same thing for Kiara. I really haven't really used up the AOE specialist much. Was it Stalker specialist? I don't know what the archetype is called. I really have not used that much at all. So I really also don't know much to talk about Kiara. Other than the fact that her talent is kind of niche because if I'm not wrong, the archetype traits itself does means they are less targeted as well. So the HP region is kind of niche, but I also don't know what to talk about it. As well as for the charge caster, I do not have Iris, so I have not played with Iris at all, except for like the one time I brought a friend support along. So I really don't know much. I really don't have no much to talk about Indigo at all either. So that's why I decided not to make it because I don't have experience with them. And also I didn't get them. I have gotten Indigo, if it's not obvious from my video. One of the videos. I have gotten Indigo. I have played around with her at E0. So I also don't the charge mechanic does make her quite strong. At all three charges, that her single burst damage is quite strong. Just that I don't have a binding talent yet, because the binding talent unlocks at E1, and I have not built her up to E1 at all yet. She's still at E0 level 0. But from the limited experience I have her, quite niche I guess. The burst damage after if given time to charge up is actually very nice. And I have also found out I've used her skill 1 more often to charge up, like moreover to get a charge shot because of how limited her range becomes rather than using it for the increased attack speed. That I don't know why, but that's just something I've experienced I guess. I'll talk about Folinic. I'll talk about them 5 first. I first should take note that I am ranking them for how often I use them, how much I have used them. Yep, I have. So I have used. I skipped the list. I've only used him once in IS. It's integrated strategy. That's when they give it to me for zero hope. That is the only time I use Ayerscarpe. But from that limited experience, I have been quite happy with what Ayerscarpe can bring. But I'll talk about him later. I'll first talk about Folinic, which is the warfare operator for this event. Which also fun fact, I don't have my Folinic max pot, even though I have played the TOW event. And that is also probably because the fact that my event progress for that is 9 out of 20 for the event story. I really didn't play the event that much. I have not. The first time I fought against the Colossus was during CC4. The first CC I got risk 18 if I'm not wrong as well. Because I'm pretty sure like the event came out during the time where I was transitioning back to Arknights from Genshin Impact. I did leave for Genshin Impact like after around a month of me playing Arknights because I started in August doing Nian's Banner. And then afterwards when Genshin Impact came out on my birthday, I switched over to Genshin Impact. So yeah, that was the thing. So I'm pretty sure the event came out around the time when I was transitioning back to Arknights. After I got upset that I still did not get a 5-star character after spending so much time in the game. Yeah, that was the thing. Alright. Yeah, I have Folinic is actually out of the 5 the one I've used the most. In fact, I'm still using her. To be honest, I don't know why, but I still have not maxed faster yet. Even though I started building her during E1 her during the Gavious event for IS. I don't know why. I have not maxed faster yet. She's at 160 plus, I think, is it? Let me just double check. I should have the game up some. Yeah, I have the game up. Let me just check in game. What's the trust level? What's the common trust level? Let me just try to dig it out right now. where is she? Okay, found her. She's at 169. Nice. She's a 169 trust for some reason. Yeah, okay. Yeah, for some reason I've built up since the Gargoyles event, but for some reason she's still not max trust yet. I really don't know what happened. But okay. Yeah, I'm still using her to this day. Yeah, so I'll talk about stats. As per usual, I'll be putting it based on Elite 2 level 30. Cause that's where I leave my non 6-star E2s at for some reason. I generally leave them around level 30 and my 6 stars are level 60. Don't know why. This is where I leave them at, but yeah. Yeah, you can already see that we talk about it. This is my second time recording. So her skill 1, when you're using her skill 1, you're actually using a stronger version of Unsell. Because both of them actually, yeah. So just like a skill 1 is the same as Unsell, giving her extra range, and it as well as increased attack. Max level 7 is max rank 7. It's only +1. You only gain the second extra row of tiles at mastery 1, which I have not used for that yet. Mine is still E1, even though she's now level 60 plus, and I believe when I use her for IS she was only level 40 plus. Oh yeah, I should probably mention, I have never cleared the IS at all. The furthest I got was like chapter 3, I think, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, the furthest I got was chapter 3 if I'm not wrong, based on my memory. I have not cleared the IS at all, even though I sunk so many hours into it. Yeah, IS was what got me back into the game. I believe even though I came back from Genshin Impact, I really wasn't playing that much. I was kind of jumping in between games, like the gacha games I had, Riviera Starlight, Bang Dream. Yeah, I was kind of just jumping in between them all over the place. The Love Life as well. Yeah, I really wasn't that much invested in any of them at that point of time, because I'm woke up. Just realized I was going on a massive tangent, and I have limited storage. Alright, whatever. But yeah, all her skill 1 basically makes her basically, yeah, using her skill 1, she's a better Unsell. Here. Here, let me dig up Unsell stats. I honestly don't remember what's Unsell stats like. Unsell. Thank you very much. Let's see. Oh yeah, I should mention I am using a headphone earpiece. My headphones mic now, so I'm sorry if it's quite bad. Let's see. 3510. Wait, what's the duration again? 35 10 25. Is 34 16 40. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'll write that down. The reason why you will use Unsell over Folinic is actually they both serve rather the same. The extra range, which is actually very useful, just based on my experience of using them. And also pretty sure I demonstrated in my 4-10 clear, which I'm pretty sure it was based on a Kyostin's guide, if I'm not wrong. I'm pretty sure back then I was still following guides instead of trying to solve them by my own, because back then I have not to any operator at all, but when I was clearing 4-10, I believe. But yeah, the reason why you may use Unsell over Folinic is 1, for the DP cost. Secondly, for his talent for additional healing. She can Unsell. It's a he, right? Unsell is a he. Yeah, Unsell should be he if I'm not wrong. He can heal an extra. He has an 80% chance to heal an extra target, extra ally, which can make a lot of difference. But in most cases, Folinic is the better one. Yeah, and then for her talent is status resistance, as well as damage reduction to environmental effects, which I'm actually not too sure. Then believe it's like poison. I'm not sure about the lava tiles though. I'm actually not too sure about the lava tiles. Does it affect the lava tiles or and the origin tiles? I'm actually not too sure about this one. But yeah, so for instance, generally it won't come up, but it's still nice to have. Yeah. So I'll talk about skill 2, which is the skill I use the most of the time for IS. Oh yeah, you mentioned the skill 1. It's very map dependent. for the extra whether the extra range will come handy. I mean the base attack is still nice for skill for that, but the range generally won't come in, but it is still map dependent. Like I said, for the stand, I needed extra healing for Indra, but yeah. For skill 2, she launches attack that prioritizes enemies instead of your allies. That both does damage, AoE damage, as AoE as damage to enemies, as well as AoE healing to your operators, which is actually very nice in the early game of AIS, where the operators you have are still limited. So with when the second skill is active, she can actually doubles both as an AoE, as like a pseudo AoE caster, as well as AoE healing. But I tend to gravitate more towards skill 1 than skill 2, mainly because of the target priority. Skill 2 makes her prioritize enemies instead of allies, which can mess up a lot of stuff depending on the situation. But because of the fact that it prioritizes enemies instead of allies, I gravitate more towards skill 1 than a skill 2. So yeah, that is a thing. That is something that you want to think of, the prioritization. But generally, in terms of burst healing, her skill 2 is better for burst AoE healing. If I'm not wrong. Well, no, I think skill 1 is still better for burst healing actually. Yeah. But in most cases they're not. Her skill 2 is generally more useful due to the fact that it can both deal damage as well as healing. Especially since a lot of the future stages have very limited range tiles. So the fact that she can serve 2 roles at once actually can make her quite useful in those future stages, the current and future stages. So that's something to take note of. But generally, I have found skill 1 to be more useful. I've been talking about Folinic for like 12 minutes now. Whatever. Click. The only drone caster right now, whatever she's called, the Mech Accord caster, apparently that's what Archetype is called, but it's called drone caster. Yeah. Yep. So she controls drones. They also does us damage based on her attack, if I'm not wrong. And when the drone attacks, she and the drone attacks the same enemy, it's increased up to 110%, which is actually very nice. Especially since they both gain attack speed. And yeah, don't be mistaken by her low attack, because of the fact that the drone attack twice and when the attack is even further boosted. This is actually very high. Skill 1, I thought about that. Yeah, increase the attack speed for our talent. Skill 1, you generally won't be using it. Right, honest. Just use skill 2. Skill 2, they have similar skill up times. Except the fact that skill 2 even grants even more attack, while also expanding her range to a depth of a sniper range, while also giving them a chance to stun. I should probably talk about during the skill, the drone will lock onto an enemy and will continuously attack the same enemy until either the enemy is defeated or the skill ended, even after the enemy moves outside of click's range. So that is very important. So yeah. So actually, a very strong caster. It's like a very strong 4-star caster. I'm actually right now trust farming her, if I'm not wrong. I think she's at like how much trust again is she at? I really don't fucking remember. Where is she? Oh, I found her. She's at 149. Alright, yeah. I'm currently trust farming her because I really haven't really used so much. Because I decided to build haste first. It's not clear for me having E2 haste already. But yeah, I was drinking water, right? Thirsty. Yeah, a very strong caster. Don't be mistaken by a low attack, but yeah, this is all I can say. A very strong 4-star caster. Alright, let's talk about Nightmare. An operator that has helped me a lot for IS. Single target caster. Right, and then her talent. When you're using skill 1, she gains dodge, and then when you're using physical arts dodge, so I guess she doesn't dodge true damage, I guess, or environmental damage. Okay, so she gains dodge for when you're using skill 1, and then extra attack when you're using skill 2. It has also, I guess. And these are stats for E2 level 30, which is actually decent. 559 is actually quite decent. And yeah. Skill 1, where she shoots, where each time she attacks, she also additionally heals an ally for 70% of her attack and makes rank 7. And our mastery is actually very important, because here you go. She heals an additional ally whenever she attacks once you have M1 her, which I have not. She is skill E1 level 42. Yeah, I have not touched her since IS, I guess so. But yeah. Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, she's actually skill has been very useful in stages, and especially stages where the range tiles was limited. So say for Folinic, the fact that she can double both as a arts damage dealer as well as a healer actually can make her very useful in those stages where range tiles are lacking, or for IS, where your choice operators are very limited. So yeah, and then for skill 2, where it's auto triggered, she'll apply the Nightmare effect up to 3 enemies within range, which decreases their movement speed by 60%, as well as making them as well as fact that is dealing to them through damage proportional to the distance they travel, which I find is completely counterintuitive. The fact the damage scales based on the distance traveled, but you're slowing them down. Why? Yeah, actually, no, her skill actually has been very useful, I found. I'll talk about IS. This is where I use most of them for IS, except for Click, because I only started building her recently. But yeah, doing IS, when I have sufficient healing enough, I actually have found her skill 2 to be very useful, because the decreased movement speed will actually store the enemies to stay within your operator's range, allowing them to do extra damage. So the fact that she does is true damage, which means it doesn't matter how high the resistance or defense the enemy has. But yeah, it is still counterintuitive. Also should take note that she also does suffer the same things as with like blue poison, where her skill is auto triggered and also can target multiple enemies, but they have to be within their range. So for example, the first enemy walk into range, when there's a second enemy that's also nearby and is walking within her range, but it's not there yet, she will trigger a skill towards the first enemy, and then the second enemy will not be affected just because it's still slightly out of her range. She will not wait for the enemy to walk in, target both of them and stuff like that. So that is something you might want to take note of. But generally, it won't matter much to blue poison due to how fast blue poison gets a skill back up. For Nightmare, it is an issue because of the fact that the cooldown is 24 seconds and the fact that she cannot hold any charges. Can she hold charge in Iron Masteries? No, she still can't hold any charges. Yeah, that one is an issue. The issue is not that much for blue poison, but it is actually a very big issue for Nightmare, I have found, just based on my limited experience with her in IS as well as some other stages I go out with, I guess. But yeah, there is something to make note of. So you generally, I don't really know what, but generally I have found myself using her skill 1 more than her skill 2 for like the early game where I'm still trying to set up. So because still I set up, so I actually can just trigger a skill because of the high initial SP. I can just trigger a skill to store for time while I build up my DP for my other operators and then place my medics at like the later stages, or my healing defenders, since I tend to like to place them down later on decided to build up my DPS first. That's something I found out. So skill 1 actually I found out to be very beneficial for me during when I'm setting up for the stage. So I found myself gravitating more towards the skill 1 than the skill 2. But yeah, I should probably play with a skill 2 more often. Because I really don't have much experience with a skill 2, to be outright honest. Maybe I'll like it better after I play even more. So I will try to use her during the TLW rerun stages, which like I said I have not cleared. So you can feel free to look forward to that if you guys want to. But yeah, I will try to use her skill 2, even though she's max fast already. But I'll try to use her skill 2 in the TLW rerun this Saturday. Yeah. But yeah. So just based on my experience right now, I have found her skill 1 to be more useful. Right, talk about Suzuran. Which, to be honest, the only experience I have with her is her skill 3. I have Suzuran with me, which is still E0 level 0. I have not built her up at all. And yes, I got her on Passenger's Banner before I started my YouTube channel. I got her on Passenger's Banner. And yes, I'm very happy I got her instead of Passenger. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, I have not really built up yet because of Scouter. Scouter has been taking up most of the materials. But I am planning to build her up yet. I'm also still not planning to build up, since I'm actually planning to E2 my Podenko first before I build Suzuran. How many supporters I have? I actually believe that the supporter class I have very little of. Like seriously. It took me forever to get max spot on my Earth speed if I'm not wrong. Alright. Supporters. Yeah, okay, my Earth speed is max spot already. But yeah, it took me forever to max spot my Earth speed. I don't know for why. It took me forever to get any of the 5 stars one. Like literally. I did not have Pramanix, Shame, Sora, Meyer, Sin. I did not have them for like the longest time. And for some reason, I got Sukunogi very early on. For some reason, I remember that was the case. I got Sukunogi very early on. But for some reason, I actually max pot my Podenko first before I max pot Earth Spirit. Even though Podenko came out so much more later on. And I've gotten Earth Spirit in like the first few days when I started playing. For some reason, I could not max pot her for some reason. Even though Earth Spirit is also a 4-star. Alright, enough of a tangent. Yeah. I am planning to E2 my Podenko first before I start building Suzuran. So there is something. And I don't think I will E2 my Scouter anytime soon, because she's very expensive to E2. But I will max E1 my Scouter first. So that is something I do want to do. But yeah, I will E2 my Podenko first, which is right now at level 54 or so. Okay. Yeah. I believe I use Podenko in IS as well. That's why she's at 40-ish. But okay, well, I do plan to max E2 my Podenko first before I build up my Suzuran, but yeah. But Suzuran is, so my experience with Suzuran is very limited. Actually, just how I tell you. It's completely limited to my friend support. Because I don't believe I got any 0 hope 6 stars in my IS runs at all. But yeah. Alright. Yeah. Talent is when she's deployed, she increased the SP recovery for all supporters, which is actually very useful. Because a lot of the supporters have very long charge up rate, like Scouter skill 2, Sin skill 1, which I guess you won't really use it that often, but it is still something I guess. Even Orchids at max rank 7, it's a 45-second cooldown, even though it's only have a 25-second uptime. So yeah, a lot of the supporters actually have very long cooldowns very long skill charge up for some reason. I really don't know why. Yeah, even for Sora, 60 seconds. But mine is still E0, so I can't say E0 rank 4, so I can't say much. But yeah, all of them have very long. So actually this talent actually will help out a lot, including Suzuran herself. So yeah, as well as second talent, which is pretty much all everyone says, even though her talent 1 seems to be more important on paper. But yeah, where enemies that are slowed within her range are inflicted with 20% fragile effect. It's equivalent to the duration of the slow. So yeah, these are the stats. Actually, it is quite decent for a supporter. A skill one, which you won't really use that much. If you already ask me like a use for skill one, is guess will be single target slow because of this. But if you want single target slow, I don't know. This might be better even in the first place, but because it's continuous per second, because it's just continuous, just all slow. It's not like it's not based on a trait. Yeah, but I guess you want maybe you can use skill one for single target slow. I don't know. But yeah, for this skill you do need to take note of the fact that the skill is automatically triggered once the 20 SP is finished charging, which should be less. Where the fuck did I go? Oh, fuck. Which should be less because of a talent. But yeah, I guess again you can use it for single target, but why? But yeah, I guess you can use it. So generally you'll be using her skill 2 more often, which is for general use. Which is the fact that it's unlimited duration and can target multiple enemies. Do take note that M1 would be very good because it does help her to target an additional enemy as well as bringing the SP cost down by 3 seconds, which should be even by 3. What the? Did I just okay? And we don't know what I did. So yeah, yeah, I know. But generally Q2 will be used for general content because of the fact that it's multi-hit, as well as the fact that it's unlimited duration. The long uptime cost is something to take note of, but is help out with your talent. But it is still something to know. So you would want to place her down rather soon, rather soon than later, because of the charge uptime. So yes, skill 2 will be for general use. Skill 3 is the one that only one that I've experienced with. It does have quite a long cooldown, but the initial SP does kind of make up for it. Actually, what's 20 seconds? Somewhat heavy drop, I guess. But yeah, okay, yeah. She stops attacking and increase her range to this, and then increase the second talent, which is the fragile status, by 1.7 times, and inflicts slow to all enemies within her attack range, which basically means that every enemy within her attack range will be inflicted with the fragile status for additional damage that's within her range. She also does heal all allies units within range, which I has found to be quite useful in certain situations, in certain scenarios. As well as do take note that the fact that healing also does affect like summons, like scenes, buggy cams, like deep colors tentacles, various robots and stuff like that. It will also heal them, as well as amenity operators like Mudrock, Vulcan, Utage, Helga, and etc. The amenity operators, it will also heal them because it's considered as passive regen, unlike Saria, which is considered as healing, which isn't really that bad because Saria's second talent, the SP recovery talent, is based on her healing. Whenever she heals, she gives them 1 SP, which I guess isn't the worst now because of that. But it still kind of sucks that even though both of them mentions that it heals the ally per second, Suzuran's one can heal amenity operators, but Saria's one cannot. It's kind of weird, but there's something to think of, I guess. That he can heal amenity and some amenity operators and summons. Yeah, generally, this is the skill that I hear everyone talking about Suzuran, how good it is. But general content, from what I've heard from like other content creators as well as my friends, they have found skill 2 to be more useful in general content. Yeah. So general, I guess skill 1 is for like situational single target bursts, I guess, because of the attack speed. Sure, I guess. Skill 2 is for general use because of the unlimited duration and multi-hit. Just that it does take some time to wind up, so you do need to think of that. And then skill 3 is basically like the do or be all. Increase she may stop attacking, but her attack range increase. The fragile teller is increased by a multitude, and everyone is slow, as well as healing. So it's basically like the ultimate support skill, I guess. So yeah, I probably should. So yeah, I would build my Suzuran up after I'm done with Podenko. That is something I'll think of. But yeah, so Jenny Suzuran is actually very strong, a very good supporter. Just that E2ing her, it would not be like a priority. It will not be a priority to E2 her. Just leaving her E1 should be more than enough for most parts. Build up your DPS first. Cause her E2's full potential comes from actually amplifying the damage your other operators do. If other operator is only doing very low damage, it doesn't matter how much you amplify the damage. They'll still do low damage. You get what I mean? So her E2ing her, it will not be a priority for most players. Instead, I would say prioritize E2ing your damage dealers first, then you E2 Suzuran. Then you get to see just really how strong her damage amplification can be from a skill tree. So yeah, move on to Ayerscarpe, I guess. Very quick note: I have not used Ayerscape. I only used Ayerscape once. That's when the IS gave it to me for 0 hope. That's the only time I ever used Ayerscarpe. Yes, even though I have a lot of experience with using Ranged Guard, since I started off with Silver Ash as my first 6-star and Lapland as my second 5-star. Which even though I've always thought that she was my first 5-star, apparently Hung was my first 5-star. Which actually isn't that weird because like I said, I did start at Yen's banner. I did start playing Arknights during Yen's banner. So that is something I guess. So apparently I got Hung first before I got Lapland. Yeah, that's something I guess, but yeah. But yeah, I have used a lot of. I started my game with the two of the stronger Ranged Guards. So my experience with Ranged Guard is a lot, but I have not really used Ayerscarpe all that much. So that is something that you guys should take note of, I guess. Since I'm talking about my own personal opinions and experience. So yeah. So Ranged Guard can launch range attacks that does 80% of her normal attack. Okay, so talk about talent. Talk about the talent, which is basically what everybody use him for. It's the increased attack speed, that's all. That is all he's known for, which is honestly very sad. His skills are actually very useful in certain situations. Okay, certain situations, yeah, it sounds bad, but in those specific situations, he is actually very strong. I'm not serious. So yeah, talk about his stats. 589 is actually decent, but just do take note that the range attacks will not be doing a full 589, only be 80% of it. But overall, it's actually very high. His attack is actually very high, as well as have quite some survivability. I'll talk about skill 1 first, since it's actually the skill I use the most often. Actually, I'll talk about skill 2 first. Yeah, her skill 2, his range expands to that of similar to that of Arene's, as well as changing the attack type to arts damage. And then each attack will also do an additional 130% damage to all enemies blocked by friendly operators in the surrounding 8 tiles. Which, to be honest, I still don't know what it means by that. Is it the surrounding 8 tiles of the enemy or of him? I do not know. Yeah, I really do not know. I have not used the skill 2 at all. When I got him for the IS, I only ever used his skill 1. So I have to admit to that. So I would try to build him, I guess, sometime soon. I'll see if I can use him for the TLW run. Maybe I should. He's still easy level 0 though, and I have other operators I'm currently building. I will try to see if I can build him somewhat up. Or maybe yeah. I won't promise I'll use him. I will try to use him in the TLW's earlier stages, where levels isn't really that important yet. I'll try to see if I can use him. I'll try to get him to at least E1. It doesn't matter. I have experience in 11 skill 1. I don't have experience in skill 2. So it doesn't matter even if I don't build him, because I can't use his skill 2. Okay, you know what? You got everything I just said. Screw it. Oh yeah. Her skill 2 is actually very strong. Actually very strong damage. The only thing is that you need to build your squad around him. You need to not necessarily. You need to plan your deployment around him to fully utilize his damage, to fully utilize him, and get the maximum damage out of him. Since it only affects block enemies. So that is the issue with that. His skill 2 damage is actually very high. Based on one video I've seen talking about Ayerscarpe, his skill 2 damage is very high. But it only affects block enemies. So you need to plan your entire deployment and possibly even squad around to fully utilizing his skill 2. But if you can do that, his damage is actually very high, which is actually quite similar to Eunectus, where you have to build your squad around to fully utilize Eunectus due to her 1 block and high deployment costs. But Ayerscarpe is the limitation of his skill 2, which you can just still use him as like a weaker Arene, I guess. Actually I don't know whether he's weaker than Arene that, but you can technically just use his skill 2 for the arch damage and extra range. You can still do that, I guess, but to fully utilize the skill 2, you need to plan your deployment as well as squad around it, which is kinda sad. Because the damage potential is very high. I'm not joking. Based on what I've seen, it's actually very high. And then for skill 1, which is the skill I use the most often in the IS, he does damage. The next attack that the charge attack, I guess I would call it a charge attack that he does, will be arch damage up to 3 enemies within his range, which is the normal Ranged Guard range, not the expanded range for skill 2, because it is skill 1. And also inflict damage slow for the next 1 second, which actually has been very useful for me in IS, like I said, when I use him. But yeah, generally though, which is also still the skill 1 is actually still very situational, like I said. So because of that, even though he is actually quite a strong operator, just that both the skills are very situational, he become only known for his talent. Which is kinda sad, I guess, to be honest. Yeah, I guess. I will see, I guess, maybe I'll make another video after I build him up and talk about it, but yeah. I'll see if I can find the video, maybe. I want the video to talk about Ayerscarpe. I'll see if I can find it. Maybe I'll link it in the description, I guess, but yeah. Overall, Ayerscarpe is actually a strong operator, just very situational. In fact, actually, most of them are actually very strong. Yeah. Folinic, Nightmare, Suzuran, and Ayerscarpe, all of them are actually very strong. Just that they are very situational. Like their full potential is very situational. But for Nightmare, the skill 2 is counterintuitive. But if you actually can get them to travel, like maybe with shifting, the damage can rack up a lot. The true damage can rack up a lot. But yeah, it's very situational. Ayerscarpe, like I said, her skill 2 damage is based on blocking the enemies, which you won't need to build up with. So yeah, which you actually do need to plan around with. Suzuran, her strongest skill is her skill 3 still, but it's all completely based on damage amplification. You need to have the proper DPS first in the first place in order to fully utilize her skill 3. And then Folinic, her skill 2 is very strong, both healing and damage, but the target priority makes it situational. You need to ensure that your defenders, your operators yourself won't die, because you will prioritize the enemies instead of trying to heal your allies. It's kind of like the entire thing about this. Even Click, her damage is actually quite weak to her attack, so she actually does suffer from resistance more. So she will suffer from the enemy's resistance more. But her stun is actually very strong. It's kind of like this entire banner. They're all very strong, but they're situational. Yeah, so Click. I have generally found that Amiya can deal similar damage to Quick, Though they're both max E1 only, mine are. Yeah, it's basically that the banner is this entire banner. They're all very strong, but their full potential is very situation. It's all situational. uh, yeah, I guess. I guess this is more or less it. I guess. So yeah, that's basically what I'm talking about. Folinic is very strong. Just that you need to take note about the fact your operators may be dying when the skill 2 is active because you prioritize enemies. But yeah, she's very good in what she does, which is healing while doing damage. Click, very strong. Just that you need to take note that the stun is very strong as well as attack and increasing range. But because of the fact that a drone will lock onto enemy, so because of that, the likelihood of the drone and her attacking different enemies is very high, which means that her damage is reduced. Mostly you're targeting both the same operators, same enemy to get the 100 to get the damage boost. Which actually may not be the worst because you're able to stun two enemies at once, but generally is not preferred. Nightmare, where the effects is counterintuitive. The damage scales based on distance traveled, but you're lowering the movement speed of them. So, Suzuran, the damage application is very high, but if your opponent's damage dealing is already lacking in the first place, even if you amplify it, it's still not going to be much. Ayerscarpe, you need to build the deployment around blocking enemies to fully utilize his skill too. That's kind of it, to be honest. Originally, I would say banner is not a very high priority, but all five of them are all four in the banners are actually very strong. Click, Nightmare, Suzuran, Ayerscarpe. All four of them are actually very strong. Just that they're not a very high priority for you to pull in. Folinic, yeah, get her to max port. Don't be like me. Because right now I actually have been struggling to deploy her. Whereas I believe I only have 3 ports right now, I think. Is it? Actually don't remember. How many ports do I have on my Folinic? Let me just check. But yeah, I don't have my Folinic to max port. Because of that, I have actually found sometimes where I actually do struggle with deploying her because of that. But yeah, all five of them are actually very strong. Just that their usage is a bit, it's like generally more niche than other operators. Except for maybe Click, I guess. But yeah, that's more or less it, I guess. More or less my thoughts about it. All five of them are actually very strong. Just that the usage is, oh, I saw it after 7. We're talking, how long have we been talking? 14 minutes, seriously. Okay, I guess. I'm not gonna edit this. I don't know how to edit. But I just enjoy my ramblings, I guess. But yeah. How many pots do I have my Folinic? Pot 4. So, where is it? Upper here, I guess. So yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, that one extra deployment cost actually has made it make it quite hard for me to deploy her in some situations I found. But yeah, all five of them are strong. Just that they're a bit more niche than most people prefer. So yeah, that's more or less it. I guess that's it. Yeah, the new operators, Genesis Aurora. Yeah, there should be a new drone caster, which is one of them, I guess. Either Kajak or it is Kajak, right? Yeah, I don't know. I really haven't followed much with CN. Yeah, that's more or less my thoughts. All five of them are strong. So build them if you have them, I guess, but they're not a high priority to pull on or build them. That's more or less I can say. Alright, this has been Dogcesy. Bye.